As a coach, I try really hard to make sure my team's always playing their comp right, so the games go as smooth as possible.
Your big part of the job is to prepare the team the whole week. So you got 1 week of preparing your team for the upcoming games.
What I mostly talk about, like before they jump into the game, is that what they're supposed to do, what the game plan is, and what the comp strength is.
I'm really just asking like a list of like pre-questions they've already heard all the time before.
Yeah, I think he already knows the answer, but he wants us to know the answer.
A ver, nosotros lo que tenemos claro siempre son los bans. Fuera de los bans, pues a lo mejor tenemos unas prioridades para first pickear o coger en la primera rotación, pero no tenemos claro toda la composición que queremos hacer. Eso siempre depende de lo que vayan piqueando los otros equipos.
I can kind of guess what we're going to play in each role as soon as the first pick goes in. So I normally just go ahead and start talking about what we want to do with their comp against theirs.
Usually I let the players give me ideas, but usually I have the final say in what we ban and what we pick.
We always go into the game with having the worst case scenario. Like the enemies do the perfect bans against us.
That's the biggest part of the preparation, making sure that there are no surprises.
So far, the most unexpected thing was when we played against Fnatic, they started banning all of our bans.
Yeah, I think the Thunder ban's the best, probably, especially because they banned Cassidy.
Oh, they banned Lissandra.
Okay.
They have something going on.
We normally go into the game with 5 or 6 bans, and then we narrow it down to like the 3 priority bans, and then, you know, if they happen to take one of our bans, then we just fill in with the others.
You gotta pump them up, you gotta tell them that they're gonna go ham, and then you hope that they do.
When I leave the stage, lately we've been starting the ritual that we do a chant as a team and then I walk off the stage.
2, 1, Rockets!
That was good!
Normalmente les digo que los quiero mucho y me voy.
I think for the first couple weeks, I'd be like, all right, I love you guys. And then they started making fun of me for that. So now I don't love my team at all. And I'm just like, all right, good luck, guys. I kind of hate you.
Welcome back. We're just minutes away from our final match of the week between the Unicorns of Love and Meet Your Makers. Joining us on the analyst desk for a look at the matchup is Gambit Gaming Leviathan, still here, and the Fisho, also still here. Let's start by taking a look at the lineup for the Unicorns of Love. Of course, Vizichachi, Kikis, Power of Evil, Vardax, Hilisan, and Sheepy. Well, the discussion has been for a little while. Are they consistent? Are they inconsistent? I'm going to say still inconsistent because they have to win this game.
Of course.
But to me, the fact that they beat SK and that SK beat Element so decisively today makes that a bigger achievement.
So just to look at their games, if we take Unicorns against SK, we saw a very strong early game for them. So basically, they shut down the whole SK gaming strategy, which of course is the 1-3-1 split push where you have to win your lanes. That worked really well from Unicorns, and that's another game where they showed to me the strong individual play they have, because again, if you look at the solo laners, they're some of the best we have here in Europe. Vardax and Hillsang doing a fairly okay in the bottom lane as well. So they showed a strong individual play, but they're not winning due to strategy or shot calling, and that's why they're so inconsistent, because they do get punished by teams who can outplay them on the map and not in terms of player for player.
Yeah, and I think to touch on the consistency again, Unicorns of Love kind of need to win this game just to prove that they're consistent. You're going to notice, or I guess, when you beat SK, like it's obviously an achievement because SK is a very strong team, but you're going to have to be able to match that intensity with a team like Meet Your Makers. It's really easy to get complacent and just see, oh, look at their record, they're at the bottom of the league, we're just going to roll in here and play it. I hope they prepared, and I hope to see a strong performance out of Unicorns of Love because that'll show their consistency.
I kind of see some similarities between the Unicorns of Love and Gambit Gaming. Very, very strong individual laners, and then sometimes maybe still finding your way team play-wise. Do you see the same, or don't you agree?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I think the solo laners on Unicorns of Love are way more important than they are on Gambit Gaming. I think you could tone down the solo lane strength of our laners and we would still be successful. But I think that there's a great emphasis on Vizichachi and Power of Evil, and it translates to their success.
I agree 100%. For Unicorns, it's always about Vizichachi and Power of Evil. You don't see Vardax get 5 kills and just completely take over the game. We haven't seen that before. The few times he have gotten a good early start, it's still been about those 2 solo laners doing well. So if teams manage to target them, in terms of bans and getting like counter picks, that's often where Unicorns struggle. If Power of Evil doesn't win his lane, he doesn't really do too much, and that's again also as a team where they simply fall behind and don't really know what to do.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do in this one, of course. Meet Your Makers on the other side of the stage. In top lane, JWoww, then we have Horo, Corey, Mr. Riles, Nisbeth, and Yamato Cannon, who we've also heard a fair bit here on the desk. Well, what do they have to do at this point? They are so close to being in the absolute danger zone. They look disconnected as a team.
I think it's impossible to say what they have to do, Because for MeetYourMakers as a team, it's not working. I mean, they're not a team anymore, it looks like, when they're playing. It's just individual performance from someone. I think you go for maybe counter lane picks, strong early game, and maybe try and snowball, and you need some sort of comfort pick so that players enjoy playing on the stage. Otherwise, it's really tough for them because they're just so far behind every other team.
Yeah, speaking to them in the back and just watching their body language before their match, it doesn't seem like they're ready to play an LCS match. Doesn't seem like they care too much. So I'm not expecting a lot out of MeetYourMakers. They have all the tools to be successful. It's not like they have poor players. Or I respect their coach. So I think it's up to them if they want to win, and I don't see it coming out of them. But I hope for a good match today.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. They, of course, have a new player in there. And as we send it back to the casters, let's actually hear from MYM's newest addition, JWoww, on what it's like to be called up on the big leagues.
The thing is, when I was in Gamers 2 for 1 year, I think I lost a lot of motivation and a lot of the mindset. I lost it to being the best and stuff. So I started playing less and I didn't play as much as I should. And now that this came up, it brought the motivation back.
Well, let's certainly hope he's found his motivation. MeetYourMakers are going to need it, Quickshot.
Yes, and I hope he can share that motivation with the rest of the team, because it's something that I think is sorely lacking from MeetYourMakers at the moment. They do seem a little disconnected. I feel yesterday in their game, Corey was running that Morgana mid lane, and he would just use his soul shackles like 40 seconds before Dragon came up. It just felt like he wasn't really thinking as far ahead as he needed to, and it was something the whole team was somewhat guilty of.
Yeah, it seemed to really be like out of sync here. Let's see if maybe they can find a little more synergy this time around. The Unicorns of Love versus MeetYourMakers. We are into picks and bans. Zed off the board right away.
Yeah, Unicorns of Love yesterday, they took down SK Gaming in a very convincing matchup. Kickus was playing that Nidalee once again. It has been banned away immediately from MYM. And it just seemed as though Unicorns found a way to exploit SK's weakness and then win the game within 7 or 8 minutes of doing that.
Yeah, these ones are really going fast right now. So just to recap really quickly, after the Zed, the Morgana, the Caston taken away by Unicorns of Love, they focus on Kickus and on Power of Evil. And then lastly, they take the Maokai, and immediately the Rek'Sai is picked up. Unicorns, they know exactly what they want. There were a lot of strong picks left on the board. Let's see what MeetYourMakers answers with right about now.
Well, Kickus was by far the original burrower. He played Rek'Sai for the first time in the European LCS. He went 8-0-10, and he had a fantastic, fantastic game. We know Kickus likes to play aggressive. He did it yesterday when playing Nidalee. He got punished for it, but it didn't result in a massive swing in power. Unicorns as a team were able to recover. So I expect to see Kickus with some deep tunnel placements and looking to gank frequently, especially in the early stages of the game.
I agree. That was a massive performance for him. We'll see if he's able to repeat it this time around. MeetYourMakers now. Jarvan, of course, would be that next high-tier general pick. If they do decide to take it. Definitely been playing around if they want to take the Ahri for Corey, and they do. So that one gets locked in.
Now, I actually like Corey on Ahri. It's one of his most played champions, especially if you look at last year's statistics as well. And he does have a good ability, mechanical ability. He just hasn't had the position or the opportunity to really take over a game like we've seen Froggen do. So let's see if he can find himself against a squishy opponent and look for those targets to charm.
Yes, indeed. Vizicachi goes for the Gnar, and the Sivir is locked in for Vardeg. So, really a lot of comfortable picks for the Unicorns this time around, despite MeetYourMakers' attempts to ban out the pocket picks, if you will.
Oh, that's for sure. Vardeg's again on Sivir. You've got that utility ADC for the rest of your team, and you've got a lot of physical damage already with the damage that Rek'Sai is putting out plus Sivir. They're not going to necessarily be able to kill a mega tank, but Maokai's been banned from MYM, so their top lane champion's not going to be anything super beefy. It's actually Irelia locked in. So for Unicorns, they're looking quite comfortable, and Power of Evil's going to have a number of options for mid lane. He could go Xerath, he could go Syndra, which he's done in the past. Cassia was banned away, so whatever option he wants to go for, the makings of a wombo combo here.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be LeBlanc, actually, though. The Unicorns have really very quickly taken their picks. They lock in the Annie as well for Hylissang, so they'll have that Annie Sivir combo that was so deadly the first opening weeks of the LCS. And we'll see what MeetYourMakers answers with at the last. They still need to fill out a support in this bottom lane.
And you've just got so much engage on the side of Unicorns of Love. With the Sivir plus Rek'Sai plus Gnar plus Annie, they can pick fights any day of the week. MeetYourMakers are looking to skirmish. They're looking to come out ahead in the laning phase because their team fight, while good, I feel is not as good as the Unicorns of Love. For MeetYourMakers, they want to find a target, run him down. Find a target, run him down, and keep rinsing and repeating. Whereas Unicorns, they can look to do a bit more AoE. You do have a couple more area of effect spells and damage on their side. So for MeetYourMakers, laning phase, super, super important. And we'll see if they can get themselves ahead. Because if they put themselves in a 5v5 in the mid to late game, I think Unicorns' team fighting abilities and comp should be able to outplay them.
Well, we've called them consistently inconsistent, but the most consistent thing has been the oscillation here. Of course, you know, they were 0-2 in Week 5, 2-0 in Week 4. If they win this one, they will be another 2-0 after that big victory over SK earlier on. And that Leona is picked up as the last choice for MeetYourMakers.
Look, it's difficult. It's a difficult position to be in. Nisbet running that Leona, this is going to be the 6th time that he's run that champion, 7th time in fact. And the problem that I have is he's got 29 deaths already accumulated in 7 games. I just think Nisbet's Leona has been falling behind. Yes, it can do very well against an Annie if they can get themselves a couple levels and play aggressively with the early damage that Corki can put out. But we've not seen Mr. Els and Nisbet step up. So for them to make this combo work, I think they want to look for the 2v2, and I think they want to look to play aggressively. I feel the same about all of MYM's team comp and lanes. Because again, Ari wants to try get ahead. Irelia wants to try get ahead, and then look for those roaming pick-off ganks.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be the key to victory in this situation for them, but it's still going to be a very, very tall order. As they said on the desk, you know, MeetYourMakers, they have been trying to make these individual plays, but their teamwork just seems to be a little bit lacking now. You have seen those comms. You know what to do. Go ahead and tweet us at LOL Esports and use the hashtags UOLWin or MYMWin and tell us who you think has the edge in this matchup. This is going to be the final match for the European LCS Week 6. The crowd is hyped. And we are going to get onto the Rift. The Unicorns fans are really making some noise as they are getting ready to take on MeetYourMakers.
Well, they've definitely got home crowd, home field advantage, that's for sure. The Unicorns, I think they've got very good lanes. You know, we touched on the fact that MYM have put together a team comp that can do well early, but you've actually got fairly safe lanes from the Unicorns, with the exception of this Hylissang on Annie. As long as he doesn't get caught up by Leona, it's going to be quite difficult for MYM. So pressure on Horo once again, to get an early advantage and to try make an impact for his team.
I feel like pressure on Horo's been pretty much the description of this team so far. Corey and Power of Evil looking to trade out a little bit of fancy footwork, stepping aside some of that damage. It's Corey who takes the worst end of it. Orb of Deception, but it was Corey that was deceived.
He was deceived indeed. I love seeing these early damage trades back and forth. More often than not result in nothing, but this time around
they're fun.
They are fun. They are fun. If you've got that gold generation item, you get the advantage, is what I always like to say. But neither mid laner did. Look at the bottom lane. You can see that Vardags and Hylissang playing aggressive. They're about to run themselves into a Nisbet plus Mr. Rawls. Now, I prefer Annie at low level because she obviously has the stun prime. Nisbet needs a couple of levels before he can become fully enabled, so I'd like to think. But deep wards from Vardex is going to allow them to see whether or not Horo wants to go for a gank, or if they more importantly want to interrupt that Gromp. Delay the level 2.
Yeah, they will have the vision of that one, so Hylissang and Vardegs know what is up. Meanwhile, Zachachi and Kikis are going to be double timing on their own Gromp up in the top side. Everything else looks to be just about standard to start this game off.
Yeah, so it was just the Relic Ward. That'll time out shortly. We'll see who gets into the lane for those duos first. A difference in junglers. JWoww's going to start off on the Raptors. We do see that Chachi helping out Kikis in the top lane, but he's going to get into the lane quicker. So JWoww and then Irelia going to be in a little bit of trouble. Not trouble, rather, going to be low on HP. But trading the jungle XP for the lane.
Precisely. Yeah, Chachi, you know, this was a while ago, but I believe it was him who said that, oh, you know, if Nard's open, we're going to take it 100% of the time. They're so comfortable with these champions that it's hard to see them doing poorly in lane just as a result of it. You can just see the difference in the performance. And look at that, Corey taking a big chunk of damage, Power of Evil coming up with a nice little in and out.
Yes, that's definitely the case. Power of Evil getting some lane presence. JWoww, despite getting level 2 from the jungle camp, actually used his teleport top lane. So I don't want to say it's a disadvantage this early on. We're not really expecting anything to happen, but
it could.
It could, exactly. If something were to happen, any shenanigans, then you'd not have JWoww being involved in the evil shenanigans.
Exactly, and the Unicorns know this too. It makes me wonder if they might try to muscle in and attempt a very early dragon. They are the type of team that will kind of think, oh, hey, we have a chance. Let's do something that they will never expect.
Potentially, but the fact that they do have standard lanes with MYM's duo down bottom may limit that fact. If a lane swap would come into place, I think it would have been more likely. But I'm more inclined to see where Kikis plays. You can see that Chachi's pushing the wave up, obviously because JWoww started in the jungle. Vardex and Hellasang using their level advantage to their favor and pushing Mr. Riles and Nisbet back into the tower. But as you start seeing Nisbet getting closer to level 3, level 2, level 3, the pressure should subside, especially as around this 3.5, 4 minute mark is when you can start to expect ganks if junglers wanted to go that route.
So for the time being, Chachi, the small level advantage on JWoww, going to try and push and pressure him in just a little bit. There's the Blade Surge, though. He's not going to be missing too many CS numbers with that. In the middle, they're going to just poke it out here. And yeah, it really has been a bit of a farm fest to start this one off. It's very early into the game, obviously. I want to see where Kikis goes, however, on this Rek'Sai with the double buffs. Gets the ward down. No brush.
Interesting to note that JWoww wanted to go for a couple of points into the Equilibrium Strike. So looking for the burst, the stun build on that Irelia. We'll see if it's going to combo with Horus Jarvan. But we do see, look at the aggressive warding from Kikis. This is what we were expecting. Kikis is a jungler that likes to invade, likes to put pressure on his opponents, and he's got some vision to decide to make plays.
Yeah, he has a lot of opportunities to make for himself here. We will see Power of Evil going in. Onto Corey, just keeps poking him out, trying to keep him on his toes, make him feel unsafe. Horo now moving into the UOL jungle.
So we'll see what Horo can do, trying to return some pressure himself. It's quite interesting to see both junglers have placed wards in one another's respective camps, but nobody's out of position yet. I don't know if they want to go for any sort of tower dive. Chachi's close to Meganos, so he should be safe top. It's just a fairly standard laning phase, and Chachi feeling a little bit of pressure from that Irelia.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense for him to try and play back, be a little bit safe. Of course, he had the Doran Shield start, so he wasn't expecting to get really aggressive early on. UOL definitely want to play this one more for the fights, more for the skirmishes, if they can. And for now, they're perfectly happy to take a very, very safe laning phase.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. And I like that from Unicorns of Love. I like the fact that their team fight is going to be fairly mobile. Nah, Rek'Sai, Sivir is going to do great. And you can just see Chachi getting pushed back. This is a matchup that can be frustrating for Nah, especially if JWoww continues to play aggressively. Flash available for PoE. I don't know if this is going to be work.
Yep, they're going to actually have to use that one as he gets his mirror image popped as well, backing away thanks to the pressure from Horo.
Spirit Rush is available from Corey. He was thinking about it. He was thinking about the dive.
Kikis was there though.
JWoww, he's getting a taste of Chachi.
Yep, hop and skip. Can he get away? No, he cannot. That is a quick first blood. JWoww picks it up.
Yeah, Chachi just underestimating the damage. And that is, again, because of the Equilibrium Strike. You see JWoww, 2 points into Equilibrium, 2 points into the Heaton style, got the stun down. There was no Meganoth threat available. And that's all stemmed from the consistent attacks and consistent pressure that JWoww put down. He's got a small CS advantage. And we do see the teleport from Chachi to return to the top lane. Picked himself up a Giant's Belt first item. So it's likely just going to go that full tank build from the front line. And it makes sense when you've got the damage threats from the rest of your team.
Yeah, very true. You've got Kikis can go pretty tanky after the fact here, but he also has the option to build some damage. You've got Power of Evil, has a very, very bursty spike when he does get to it. Vardex maybe isn't the heaviest hitting AD carry, but they've got a lot of utility on that side, and there's just a lot of deep threats here from Unicorns of Love for MYM to deal with.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that Unicorns opted into this lane. We'll finish that point in a second. Mr. Riles and Nisbet are about to get dove, and I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, they could be. They focus on the Nisbet. There's a reason he's gone down so many times. Here they come, Kikis. They're going to take him down. Vardex comes up with that one. Rallis having to Valk his way back, and they do manage to secure that big pickup. Meanwhile, Corey going to try to answer back in a mid lane, but he's not quite got the damage just yet.
No, not at the moment. He will get a lot of damage onto this tower, though, so that'll work into MYM's favor if Power of Evil decides to roam again Corey can just keep shoving that wave up over and over until eventually the tower dies. But keep in mind that Unicorns of Love opted into head-to-head lanes here. They haven't tried to swap, they haven't tried to move around, despite the fact that, Gnar can struggle against Aurelia, that Corki Leone, if they play aggressive, can work. And for the time being, it's worked out. Horo is going to get surrounded. He's been pinched in.
Yeah, he has. He's going to flag and drag the one way he can. Corey is there as well, but will it be too late? Power of Evil not going to take the charm. Corey might have just baited himself in. Horo, ignite the hop. Vizichachi, they're going to turn tail on that one. They take down Horo. It's Vizzy that comes up with that one, looking for a little bit more. Nisbeth just trying to look tasty, I guess, and they're still going for it. The charm is on, the chains as well. He dashes away from it. Corey is going to be safe for now, but the Unicorns get a kill.
Unicorns of Love chase MeetYourMakers out of their jungle. They pick up the kill onto Horo, and this should allow them to get some vision into the MYM jungle. You see 2 green wards picked up for Kikis, so he's going to steal away the camps and get some control. That is a very big swing. Once again, something that Unicorns can use to move around the map. Just great awareness and vision to respond to that invade. JWoww wants a taste of the Queen of the Xerxai, and Kikis, he's going to look to get away.
Yep, going to try to slide and glide out if he can. There is the hop into the Baron pit. He is at about half his HP, though. Quite a lot of damage coming at JWoww this early in the game.
Yeah, small mistime there from JWoww. I think he was trying to follow the burrow with the Blade Surge, but it didn't work out. And I think that damage is obviously coming from the fact that the early Sheen has been picked up. JWoww has transitioned to maxing Heaton style, 4 points into that. So going to go for the extended, multiple auto attacks and obviously keep the sustain up as well.
Well, and as you mentioned, they opted to take this specific situation, and yeah, they can be disadvantageous, but I feel like this speaks a lot to how much the Unicorns of Love trust their laning phase against this MYM team.
Yes, and I prefer Unicorns of Love team comp the later this game goes. So the fact that UOL at 10 minutes are even with MeetYourMakers with gold, ahead in kills, I think they're setting themselves up very, very well. We've seen just how effective Unicorns team fighting and communication can be. We've also seen how poor it can be, but for the moment, they've not given up a massive amount. They've not lost a lead.
But give them credit. Regardless of the outcome, they do make these calls together. They really kind of live and die together in that sense. And, speaking with one voice is very, very important. We've heard the importance of shot calling there. We'll see how it works out for them going forward in this game. Still, for the time being, going to keep the laning phase alive. Power of Evil taking a big shot on that Orb of Deception, however. Got to be careful. There is potential for outplays. And Horo, speaking of outplays, he's making moves down bottom.
Keep an eye on Nisbet. Still not level 6, so he doesn't have access to Solar Flare. Literally the second I say that, he levels up. So an extended Solar Flare engage could be the way in. Vardags could spell shield it, so let's see if Nisbet hits his targets. Traditionally, he's not been that accurate. He's going in now, Pyra.
Yeah, it's going to be revealed. They're going to catch it on Hillisang, but they don't have enough gap close, I should say, to get in there. You saw the flag and drag from Horo. They were very eager for it, but they just mistimed it. And an ultimate burned for nothing and a lot of time spent for the jungler.
Yeah, ultimate for ultimate. Horo was trying to get something up. It didn't work out. It's a 2-minute cooldown on the hunt versus the 60, 70-second cooldown on Solar Flare. So it will allow Mr. Nisbet to try to set something up again. But yeah, unfortunately, that time around it didn't work. But the one thing I do want to highlight, Chachi, despite falling behind JWoww and giving up that kill earlier on, he's actually even on CS, and he's about to go Mega Gnar. I think Kikis is going to set up a gank in this top lane. He's waiting, but down to the bottom.
Yep, Morales, Nisbet, they were caught by the Tivers. Now back to the top side. JWoww surging on to Kikis, actually taking a lot of damage, but the Mega Gnar is here, and he knocks him into the wall and knocks him out back to base. Another kill.
Yeah, another kill on the board for Unicorns. We did see Corey roaming, but he was too late to the party. Not enough vision. And look at the tunnel network that Kikis has put together. This is something I was talking about yesterday. When you see these Rek'Sais playing, Void Rush is available for Kikis, and by having multiple tunnels around the map, it allows him to react very, very quickly. The ones that I like the most is near the Tri-Bush on the bottom half, where there's a pink ward, as well as near the top lane tower closest to the lane. Purely because if anybody jumps on Chachi, on Vardags, and Hillisang, Kikis can respond very effectively. And we'll see if Horo makes an aggressive play again, whether or not Kikis wants to jump in.
Yeah, the way this one has been playing out. Unicorns just finding slight outplays and better use of their jungler, I would say. Horo has been trying to set up the plays, but they just don't seem as well coordinated this time around.
So we see Chachi picks up that Frozen Mallet. Definitely non-traditional. Give him a lot of hit points to at least fight through, but I don't know. I think that's a little bit of style points. Yes, it will work. Yes, it will allow him to control JWoww somewhat, keep those auto attacks down. But it's definitely not what you'd consider a standard build on Gnar.
I'll do the Unicorns play standard.
They can.
Yeah, that's true. Not this time, though.
They can. They can, that's for sure. That's actually one of the best things that you can bring up. You know, Unicorns of Love, they came in at the beginning of the split, and everyone's like, if they don't play Weird and Wonderful, they're not going to be good. And they've surprised a lot of people. If Unicorns close this game out, they will be tied for third with Gambit, with an 8-4 record if memory serves. So it's going to be so close. 7-5, sorry. There we go. 7-5, yes, because it's a 7-game winning streak. JWoww's in trouble. Let's see if he gets taken out.
Yeah, he is actually going to make his escape there, but you saw that the Unicorns, they really hit the gas pedal. They wanted to start making a run for this one right away. Nisbeth and Horo have actually come up top to try and defend this turret attempt. So for the time being, it's not going to go down. Speaking of turrets, in the middle, Power of Evils is looking a little bit shaky here. He's going to be able to clear the waves out, but you got to be careful, Corey. Try to knock it down. One more attack should do it, and he does take that out. Our first turret of the game goes to MeetYourMakers.
It's actually good we highlight that. Not only has Corey managed to put all the damage down from earlier, but he's got a very big CS advantage. Ultimate is available and Sork Shoot. If Charm hits, Hylissang's in trouble.
Yeah, speaking of Charm, Hylissang is going to be the one they hop onto. Corey picking up a kill. Kikis was not able to help him out there. So MeetYourMakers, they've turned up some pressure here as well, and they have found a slight gold lead in this game.
Yes, they have. CS advantages from middle and bottom, as well as the tower, obviously, is alluding to that. But more importantly, MYM were able to punish that sort of invade. Nisbet was in the right place at the right time, and the moment that Hylissang and Kikis realized that they were being spotted, they tried to retreat. And very aggressive Corey play nets his first kill of the game. This is a champion that he can do well on. Look at the damage on Power of Evil.
Yeah, that difference, though, is really speaking a lot of volumes, considering that both of them have picked up the Morello Namicon. I feel like it's going to come down a lot, again, to individual performance on MYM. If they can make the outplays, get themselves ahead enough to keep going in this game. But Unicorns, not keen on giving them too many more like that.
I completely agree. Having JWoww on Aurelia, having Corey on Ari, they are going to be looking to find the right targets in team fights. And assuming Nisbet can keep hitting solar flares like he did there and not like he's done in previous games, that's going to enable them. That's going to enact them to do that. Because Vardex is going to be trying to run around. Power of Evil is going to be, you know, distorting and mimicking, distorting in and out. So a lot of pressure will be on Horo and Nisbet to lock his opponents down. For the time being, there's been no super heavy pressure on towers. There's been no attempt on Dragon at all. But with the middle tower being down for Unicorns, we may see them try to commit to a mid tower or Dragon, just to make sure they maintain control of that area of the map.
Yeah, they do go ahead and clear out the Scuttle Crab, but yeah, it is interesting you mentioned neither team's really eyeballed the Dragon too heavily. It's 16 minutes into the game. They've really let the landing phase play out quite a lot, and a lot more than what we're used to from either of these teams especially. So we'll see how this one keeps on going up in the top lane. VisitChat's going to keep pegging away at that turret. JWoww a little bit there to defend, but it's already down.
Yeah, notice JWoww's holding on to his teleport, most likely for an engage, as they're engaging on Corey.
Yep, he is going to get knocked up there, trying to Spirit Rush his way to safety, but Kikis is not going to give that one up. He, however, will go down. Horo on the dunk, Power of Evil on the run, and he's going to try to juke him out. Horo is not going to fall for it, but there, of course, is the distortion away.
So very good reaction from Horo to jump in there and at least punish Kikis for being aggressive. But I love the fact that Kikis was able to knock up Corey from the Spirit Rush. Very, very well executed. So they trade kill for kill. And again, despite the fact Tower went down top from MYM, JWoww's held onto his teleport. He's got his Trinity Force completed. So if a Dragon fight were to break out, that is a very big power spike for that Irelia.
Oh, there comes the Rek'Sai Scream, letting MeetYourMakers know that somewhere out there on the map, there is a Queen of the Xerxai.
Well, she's always somewhere out there on the map, to be fair.
It's true.
Now
Somewhere outside
closer.
the base. Actually, she could be inside the base. They don't know if the tunnels are there or not.
Yeah, being a little pedantic, I think.
Yes,
but
just a bit.
17 minutes. Again, even as far as the gold is concerned, towers, kills, I still think Unicorns are going to be happy with this, much like Gambit were in the previous game. farm their way up into the mid game, get their big items. Vardegs, Zeal plus iEdge against Mr. Rolls and the Triforce. So despite having a powerful AD carry, Vardegs is going to be more than happy. He's getting closer and closer to his Shiv/Phantom Dancer.
Yeah. A couple of Trinity Forces on this MYM squad, actually, so they've got the one completed for JWoww now. He's definitely hit a powerful spike for himself. Still 18 minutes into the game. We have seen more or less an very extended laning phase, but it is Unicorns of Love trying to make moves on the map. A couple of pings fly here as MYM knows something is up.
Yeah, and something to note. Since Chachi had actually finished that Frozen Mallet and had it finished for a longer time than JWoww had Trinity Force, it's allowed Chachi to accelerate his CS lead. JWoww back to finish his item, but didn't want to waste teleport in case a dragon play was made, which then meant JWoww lost his tower. So, well played from Visit Chachi to regain control of that lane and punish JWoww for his back timing. So that's actually allowed Unicorns to take the gold lead back, despite being down a slight amount. And with all of the movement around the map, I think Unicorns are going to look to find MYM.
Oh, yes, indeed. They look for Visit Chachi at the very start. There's that anti-stun there. There they go. Coming into collapse. The Solar Flare not going to connect on anybody. The Unicorns are bailing out. Hylissang, however, was on the wrong side. Looks like he should be able to get away, and it just seemed like MYM. They could have played that one better. However, they do pick up Hylissang after the fact. Horo a little bit low, but tempting fate there. Power of Evil decides not to.
Yeah, so Corey was able to get the damage down that allowed Horo to pick up that kill. But once again, flashes and, dodging from Unicorns of Love meant that Nisbet was unable to lock anyone else down. But it hasn't led to objectives. No pressure on Dragon. As I say that, it's actually Unicorns with the man disadvantage that are going to secure this. Because MYM put so much into that top jungle and they revealed themselves, Kikis and Vardags able to secure the first Drake of the game.
Yeah, definitely have a mind for the objectives on the map. It took about 19.5 into the game before that one does go down, but it goes over to the Unicorns of Love, much to the dismay of MeetYourMakers.
Just don't really know where MeetYourMakers go from here. They've been playing in silos. If you look at this game, JWoww was left in his lane, Horo was farming. We had one gank attempt on this Jarvan, and there hasn't been team play. Now, to be fair, there's not necessarily been all that much from Unicorns. They have responded to some invades from MYMs, when Horo tried to steal blue and whatnot, but it's an individual. This is a one-on-one battle across the entire map.
Yeah, and the Unicorns, as you mentioned, yeah, they haven't been making as many moves as we've typically seen them. A lot of individual play. You see Corey and Power of Evil there, but they have at least been able to secure that Dragon objective. Obviously been tower trade for trade, but it was more an individual effort when MYM picked it up, whereas up in the top side, that was Unicorn's concerted effort. They're definitely making the more proactive moves as a team.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot to be proactive about from either team, but yes, I do agree. We do see Chachi, now that he's been unlocked, now that the tower's down, the opportunity to move around is available. Power of Evil's trying to root Corey, and that is just so much mobility. Power of Evil in complete control of where he was dashing. He did manage to get that distortion chains onto Corey, ethereal chains rather, but Corey Spirit rushed away to safety. So Unicorns, numbers advantage, vision advantage. They may want to make a play on this mid tower.
Certainly going to try.
Yeah, got the support as well from Kikis.
They have a lot of people here. Yeah, it is 4 members strong while Vardag sits in the bottom side. However, Rallis is on his way up. Going to take a little while to get there, and the Unicorns look like they might want to back off from this one.
Yeah, and of course, because Mr. Rolls left that lane, it's going to allow Vardags to push it up. With the fact that Mr. Rolls has to take a slightly safer route around, Vardags has shoved the minions in. They lose 1 or 2 and just close that gold gap. Power of Evil and the rest of the Unicorns of Love playing this one out slow and steady. Whereas for MeetYourMakers, it's such a lot on the line. They're 1-10 in 11 games. This is their 12th. There's about 3 or 4 games behind Roccat and Giants. And they need to start finding wins if they want to avoid that auto-relegation.
Absolutely. At this point for them, every win, every game becomes a must-win. It doesn't matter who they're playing against. And again, if they want to avoid that auto-relegation, you've got to start stepping it up. You've got to start making changes. We're not seeing that here, and that's still troubling.
It is a little bit, but on the same token, by 22 minutes yesterday, MeetYourMakers had basically lost the game. They're even on gold. There's a tower to their name. They're down a dragon, and you can still see the threat. Trinity Force, Spectre's Cowl, makings of a Death Cap for Corey, makings of Blade of the Rune King for Mr. Rolls, and I think he's sitting on a 1,800 gold, so nearly able to upgrade that. But unfortunately, Mr. Rolls is going to get forced away from the Unicorns of Love. I just think MeetYourMakers, they need to make a play before Chachi and Kikis get too tanky, and before Vardax gets his Static Shiv or his Phantom Dance and Armor Pen. And we'll need to see if they can make it happen.
Yep. Showing some muscle there between Horo and Corey. They forced away the members of the Unicorns of Love. That's going to free up Rallis to farm it up under the tower now. So they are keeping that one alive. It is still only 1-1 in towers, 23.5 minutes into this game. MYM still responding to the moves made by Unicorns, but it has been very quiet.
JWoww wants Power of Evil. There's no more dash.
Yep, he is going to Blade Surge. Blade Surge again. The chains are on. He's going to move away from that one. Now Corey's going to Spirit Rush in. Flash as well. Takes a big bite out of his health bar. JWoww and Corey both on the chase. Transcendent Blade's not going to connect. And with the Mega Gnar looming, I don't think they want that one. Meanwhile, down bottom, Vardax finishes off that tower.
So safely securing a second tower of the game for the Unicorns of Love. JWoww tried to make something happen on Power of Evil, and you see Power of Evil instantly respect that Aurelia. He did not want to get caught by the Equilibrium Strike, and as soon as he flashed to safety, he was just waiting for the cooldown on that dash. Righteous Glory being built here for Visit Chachi. Unicorns of Love are going to keep playing this. They've got timing on Dragon, Phantom Dancer finish for Vardax now. They've got Engage from a Distortion Annie. And if and when that Righteous Glory is now finished, it's still a little while away, for Visit Chachi, it's going to allow Unicorns to have a really powerful team fight. And I think that's what they're waiting for. There's been no real side lane pushes, no real pressure, except right now as Chachi's been caught out.
Yeah, trying to do what he can to JWoww. He's pretty close to the Mega Gnar form, but Horo is already here, going to smite him down, knock up against the wall, and he's throwing bricks as much as he can. JWoww actually a little bit low, has to walk away from that one, can't get involved until Vizzy is going to go down. They're going to bring some heavy artillery up here, but it's not really needed, and 3 members committing there. They're going to actually be in some trouble in this mid tower with the minions coming in.
Yeah, it looks like Vardax should be able to take this one down. Corey maybe a little late to the party. Spirit Rush is available. Take a look at the support. Vardax not necessarily focusing it down. Forced to put down Nisbet's out.
Yeah, they drop the Tibbers and they drop Nisbeth as he tries to save the tower, but Rallis is here to push them back. The minion wave slowly being depleted away, cleared now by the Orbit Deception. They do everything they can to keep that turret alive, but it does mean sacrificing Nisbeth.
Yeah, as long as Unicorns stick around for the next minion wave, that tower is 1 or 2 auto attacks from a kill, and you can see Unicorns of Love. With Dragon spawning soon, they might go for that Kikis. He's going to 1v1 Roll.
Oh yeah, Rallis is in some serious trouble now. Turns on the Gatling gun, but Kikis has already got out of town. And he gives him a parting shot as he Valkyries back to his secondary turret. Unicorns controlling the Dragon area here. Horo trying to throw down some vision, however. They're here, the Unicorns.
So there's no Tibbers available for Hylissang, but there's no Nisbet either. He's 1.5 miles away. So it's going to be very late if MYM want to challenge. Doesn't look like that will be the case. Instead, everyone's grouping middle. Chachi, no Mega Gnar for a while.
Nobody is throwing a couple of boomerangs out. Hylissang going to try to flash the charm. Looks like he got it, but he's going to get blown up. Corey now is going to be the one going down. They might have bit off a little bit more than they could chew. MYM is who I mean there. They go down. JWoww as well. Another tower, and they have got the outer turrets here. The Unicorns of Love charging forward.
Yeah, 1 for 2, but Unicorns get the tower. They got the Dragon. That was a flash knockup from Kikis. Very well played. Nisbet was able to catch a few members. Oh, Chachi, he's been dunked.
Yep, and he's able to flash away. They didn't have enough damage in time. An ultimate traded for a summoner. MYM should be okay with that one, but you really want to secure the kills, especially after what just happened. Let's take a look at it again.
Just really aggressive from the Unicorns of Love. Hylissang had his charm, had his stun available. While he did catch Corey out, the rest of the team was just a tad slow, so it meant that Hylissang went down. Visit Chachi got enough auto attacks off to get the CC down onto JWoww, and that allowed them to get the 2 kills in the tower.
The synchronization of Unicorns, though, really, I feel like it comes out in these kind of chaotic team fights where you see how they were able to stack up the chain CC exactly the way they needed to. Even though they did lose Hylissang, as squishy as he is on that Annie, they were able to make good on it after the fact and grab the tower to boot. I mean, there's really not much more you could say for that. It was really well played for them.
It was. And, you know, something that you need to highlight as well is the Warmogs plus Thornmail from Kikis. There are so many auto attackers on the side of MYM. I think it's brilliant. Tibbers and stun. JWoww's going to take a while to go down. Oh, Chachi missed. We'll pretend we didn't see that. It didn't happen.
It's all right. He throws another house, or another rock, rather. Not the right skin for that one. But the Unicorns are still, they're really throwing their weight around as much as they can here. Meanwhile, on the bottom, Corey's going to go ahead and grab a tower. However, small pickings because Nisbeth is going to be the one that gets taken out. It looked like a Prey Seeker was able to fire him down. Again, Unicorns are making sure MYM is not safe anywhere around the map.
Yeah, Prey Seeker got the kill. Power of Evil did the setup. But just to finish that point, Thornmail saw the auto attackers. Oh, instant flash from Horo. Right, Unicorns of Love are dilly-dallying mid and top. It's allowed Corey to secure the bottom inner turret, but it will be traded for middle turret plus a kill. So Unicorns will be happy with that trade because it's going to give them vision and pressure on the top lane too.
And in this situation, I feel like that's the best thing MYM could have done is having Corey go down bottom and just make sure he could take out those two because there was no response. So even though, you know, they've been giving up a couple of kills left and right, they're still trying to find a way back in this game. They're not down too much gold. They just don't have the collective map pressure that Unicorns seem to.
Yes, I agree with that. And once again, team fights is not what MeetYourMakers should be looking for. Corey is trying to split push with this Ahri. He did secure that tower, so kudos to him. But what MeetYourMakers need to do is figure out how to flank Unicorns of Love. They have to get Power of Evil or Vardax down and then focus the tanks of Vizichachi and Kikis, because they simply are not going to be able to burn through a Mega Gnar and a very tanky Rek'Sai while trying to deal with LeBlanc and Sivir at the same time. So it's all going to be about the flanks and the side lane, or the side engages. The Unicorns stay grouped, they stay in the vision, and they prevent that from happening.
They do indeed. Taking a quick break in this one. In the action that has been following, it's not quite 30 minutes yet. It is 2 Dragons, 2-0. The Unicorns holding a bit of a gold lead, about 2,000 to their names. Not the hugest we've seen over MeetYourMakers right now. Vizichachi pushing out in the bottom side as the mini Gnar. And there is just a massive network of tunnels all around this map. It's a series of tubes, really.
Yes, exactly. And I think Kikis' Rek'Sai is one of the more impressive when it comes to those tunnel placements, because it just gives you all of those additional options. Not that they've been used necessarily on cooldown this game, but they haven't needed to be. And talking about Kikis, if you actually look at the gold difference between Unicorns of Love jungler and MeetYourMakers, Kikis is sitting on nearly 11,000 gold. Tohoro's 9,000. There's a 2,000 gold difference just between those two roles. Power of Evil managing to dodge Corey, but he's also down on CS 40. Power of Evil has still got a lot of damage. But again, if Corey can find the right charm onto Vardax or Power of Evil, that's how MeetYourMakers can win it.
Yeah, it's always that dangerous threat. And Corey has been doing quite well on this play so far. Dragon about a minute and a half away. There's Rek'Sai tunnel in the back, and it looks like Kikis is going to be using it, but the fight's already started. Hylissang is the one that MYM have chosen to be on. Vizichachi, no Mega Gnar for quite a while. Unicorn's actually scattered around. Hylissang, though, hasn't gone down. There he goes. Horo is finally able to pick him up. Kikis trying to salvage the fight. Corey's going to take down Power of Evil. The Unicorns turn tail and run. 3 deaths and no kills, and MYM are looking for more. They want to try to find the ace here. A double kill going over to Rallis. Vardax, he could get blown up. No, he's got to turn around, and the Dragon is a minute away. MYM catch a big break.
That was a near perfect team fight for MeetYourMakers, because Unicorns of Love were split up. There was one member for every single point of approach on the MYM team squad. So MeetYourMakers were always as a group. Look at the minimap. Take a look at how split up UOL are. 3 people on the left, you've got Kikis on the right, Teleport coming in late for Vizichachi. And it allows MeetYourMakers to get themselves grouped up. Hylissang was forced out early. Despite the damage on Corey, nobody could kill him. And then MeetYourMakers just managed to peel back together as a unit and stick together sooner. Vardax unable to find those hits that he needs. And a very, very well executed team fight for MeetYourMakers. I believe they secured that Dragon as well.
Yeah, and I think the timing was just so misplayed here by the Unicorns of Love. They were nowhere near the Mega Gnar, and then Kikis goes in. They tried to set it up, and that's when MeetYourMakers turned way too quickly. The Dragon is now alive, so they haven't got a chance to take it just yet. However, Unicorns of Love have to think twice about taking another fight like that, because that could allow MeetYourMakers right back into this game. They've got the gold lead, by the way, after that.
Yeah, so I mean, when you get like 4 kills back-to-back, definitely going to work out. That was a slightly over-eager Unicorns. They didn't have the gold lead that they needed to pull that off. And take a look at your cooldowns. There's a few still available here. Tibbers is up. On the Hunt is up. MYM They're the ones starting the engage.
Yep, JWoww is going to be the one that gets blown up. Vizichachi coming up huge as he hops right on in. Kickus, Meganar, perfect timing. The Dragon is the 6th man right now for the Unicorns of Love. Horo trying to be a hero as Corey throws down the Zanya's Hourglass. Unicorns not sure if they had enough. Corey going to blow up Helisang. However, the fight is still going. It's going to be Power of Evil, however, who is falling down. It just seemed like the Unicorns, they ran out of gas. Kickus, he's going to Void Rush in. He is 1v3, however. The Unicorns aren't quite here just yet. Shutdown Gold going over to Kickus. He's going to pick up another, and it looks like they are going to secure the ace. After that, a second win. The Unicorns of Love coming up big, and they should get Dragon number 3.
Kickus goes huge. Those tunnels allowing him to re-engage with the support of the Unicorns of Love. And once the rest of the team came back in, there were no more cooldowns for MYM. There were no more Hourglasses or Randian's Omens. Then all of a sudden they got shut down. Unicorns actually got pushed back. MeetYourMakers had a good team fight in the river. And Horo's Cataclysm, Corey's Hourglass, it kept them alive for such a long time. Take a look at Vardags and how little he manages to auto-attack. JWoww forces him away, and then, yes, they focus JWoww down. But now Horo's going to have a great Cataclysm, and the rest of Unicorns are going to try focus Corey. The two of them don't go down for the longest period of time. Vardags still trying to get an auto attack. Not attack, not attack, not attack. When you don't have a damage threat putting auto attacks out, obviously MeetYourMakers are going to do well. Once Kickus re-engages in a few minutes though, then obviously Vardags learns how to right-click, and that works out in his favor.
Yeah, definition of an extended fight, but Kickus, he just really enables the remaining Unicorns to come up absolutely massive here. A big long replay, and that was a big long fight. So let's take talk where we are after that. Unicorns of Love find themselves once again up 1,000 gold in this game. It is 3 Dragons to 0. We're 34.5 minutes into this game, quick shot, and we're nowhere near finding out who's going to take this one.
No, definitely not. But what MYM did show both themselves and their opponents in a straight-up 5v5 fight with Corey and Horo and JWoww being up on that front line, Mr. Rolls was left untouched for the longest period. So he was able to put enough damage down to force Unicorns of Love back and force the Void Rush re-engage. So MYM did a good job in the river. Unfortunately, he didn't manage to get Vardags early enough or secure the kill on Kickus, and that meant that that global presence worked in their favor. Look at the tunnel down in the bottom half of the map. Kickus is pushing out the bottom wave, and he's going to be able to Void Rush up at least halfway through the map. So again, those options to flank are available. Unicorns are just got to be a little careful with it.
They do indeed. We have seen a couple of fights go awry for them. Meanwhile, Kickus, though, is going to be unopposed for the time being. JWoww is going to back, actually stops it. They're pinging out the middle, and they want to apply some pressure here. Let's see what they do.
Yeah, we do see there's not a lot of tunnels nearby for Kickus, but he should be able to back out safely, depending on the options. And also, the fact that he's got the Warrior Enchantment, you've got Hex Drinker, you've got Frozen Mallet, Topless Hex Drinker for Chachi. There's actually some damage coming up for Vizichachi and Kickus. I think Kickus is going to Void Rush away after the tower.
I mean, he gets the tower.
Although,
there was just no response here. He's going to try to dive in. JWoww's going to get the start up. I love this. A Baron started as MYM had turned around for just a moment. However, they have to back off of it because the teleport, even though that wasn't available, the rest of MYM was still in the area and threatening.
Yeah, not the fastest of Baron taking teams either. They do want to start the engage. Look for the Flash Annie. On the hunt comes out, and look at Kickus from the sideline. Unicorns of Love, they want this fight. There's no JWoww and there's no Horo. So let's see if they can find some CC.
They were trying to force it, but as soon as the Meganar runs out and Vizichachi goes way too low, Vardags now, he's caught up on the Solar Flare. Didn't expect that one. The burst coming up big. A shutdown. That is going to go over to Horo. The Unicorns now, they are going to answer a little bit back. Support on support as Helisang takes down Nisbet, but it's still a 1-for-2 as he falls immediately after. No more objectives to take here, but Kickus, he's going to Rek'Sai scream his way to safety, zooming across the map.
Yeah, way, way, way over aggressive for Unicorns of Love. They thought they were going to be able to drop down members of MeetYourMakers, but nobody got caught out. So MYM come out securing 2 kills, and all credit to Nisbet. He landed the Solar Flare and the Zenith on Vardags, instantly removing him. What the Unicorns are doing in reply is they sent Power of Evil bottom lane to try shove the minions in. It's not going to be enough to secure the inhib, but Power of Evil escapes, and MeetYourMakers take their 5th tower of the game. We're 37 minutes in, 5 towers to 6, even on gold, even on kills. MYM is still in this game, Pyro.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of the better games for them we've seen in quite some time. So we'll see how this one does shake out the longer it goes on.
And, you know, I want to quote, I believe Leviathan was saying before the game, teams can become a little complacent when you've got 2 games in the week and you have one strong opponent one day, one slightly weaker opponent the next day. The Unicorns, they went back to last week's playstyle. They didn't make super aggressive plays in lane. They had 1 or 2 little invades here or there, but Kikis was not the same lane monster we've seen him be. And both team fights that Unicorns have fallen behind on, they started with the sort of flanking position maneuver, and it didn't work out. So the Unicorns not operating at 100% capacity today.
No, it definitely seems they've reverted just a little bit to the team that could find the on-switch, but not necessarily the breaks. So in this particular situation, they have slowed down now. But the fact that we're 38 minutes into the game, you're very even against this team that just about every other team in the league has been decimating far before this time, it is a bit troubling. After beating a team like SK Gaming, yeah, it is kind of a 180 here.
It is a little bit, but I still like Unicorns team fighting. I still think for MeetYourMakers, they need to look for a flank. And as we just keep going to the later and later game, Kikis is going to back off. I don't think he's going to get caught yet. No, it doesn't. So, for Kikis on Rek'Sai, I think the opportunity to play the map is going to be significantly better than what Jarvan is going to be able to offer, thanks obviously to the ultimate. And you've seen this over and over. Kikis and Power of Evil have consistently pushed minions in that bottom lane to try and keep MeetYourMakers dealing with those minion waves, meaning MeetYourMakers can't push into the Unicorn territory.
But MeetYourMakers are going to try to secure up their first dragon of the game. Actually, this is prompting Unicorns to try and start the Baron off. They've actually pulled all of MeetYourMakers off of the dragon. No one's staying there to try and do this one. The teleport is coming in for JWoww. Unicorns are going to back off. That's canceled. Oh, they're going to go right back to it. They just keep wanting MYM to play the game their way.
I think Unicorns may want to peel and fight. There's no Mega Gnar available, though, so keep that in mind. More importantly, we didn't actually see them fully commit to, you know, attacking Baron. Minion Wave's not in Unicorn's favor, but they did stop the dragon, so keep that in mind. With the threat of Baron, it meant MeetYourMakers had to back away. There's no Void Rush to get there quickly enough, and MeetYourMakers are a little bit split up. They can secure it uncontested. These Unicorns are late. And a Breath of Life, that's important at 40 minutes. 6% AD and AP. It scales exceptionally well.
Oh, it absolutely does. And you know, MYM, they're feeling a little bit more confident after the fact. Going to try to throw their weight around the map a little bit more if they can. Unicorns, they've got to be a bit more proactive than that. I liked using the Baron as bait to try to pull MYM away, but they didn't get anything out of it, and they still gave up the dragon after the fact on the retreat.
Yeah, and I just think there's not enough vision here for Unicorns of Love to be making those sorts of plays. We've seen Kikis and Power of Evil pushing lanes. We saw the Baron bait. And we saw the flanks, but it's just not worked out for the Unicorns of Love. So for them, it's going back to the drawing board. Power of Evil trying to catch Mr. Rolls, but he just belts to safety. And for UOL, I think it's going to come down to vision. They need to get some control, then they can make effective decisions. Because for the time being, they're somewhat floundering, and I think that's why it's put the stall in their game.
I agree completely here, and this is getting closer to the point where we've got the full builds coming in where, you know, again, the vision's going to be a little bit tighter. We haven't seen quite as many wards as we did in that last game, that's for sure. However, when it gets to that point, trying to secure things like Scuttle Crab, trying to place the timely pink wards becomes incredibly, incredibly important, even more so now. They've caught Nisbeth. He's actually not going to be able to get the Zenith played out. They drop a Tibbers on him. They're going to double down on Nisbeth as he throws the Solar Flare, catches Tibbers actually, and all of a sudden, the go button is hit. Kikis comes up with Nisbeth. Horo in the pit. They're all going to collapse on him, and 2 quick kills, but they traded over for Kikis. Now, MYM looking to respond. Anar against the wall. He's going to go down, however. Do they have the damage? Vardax, he is going to try and go in. Gets a double kill with the spell shield before he goes down. It is a 3-for-3. Power of Evil, though, incredibly low in this one. They have to back off.
Yeah, the power of Irelia at this stage, just running through everything Unicorns of Love had to throw. That was Unicorns once again initiating a team fight. Yes, they came out even, 3 kills for 3, but the problem is every time Unicorns are picking these fights, they are the ones that get caught out. Relying on the Void Rush, you can see Kikis coming in from behind. And despite the fact that Nisbet doesn't really connect with Solar Flare, look at how many people peel away. Once again, Vardax zoned away for the longest time. Horo keeps everybody zoned, which allows Mr. Riles, JWoww, and Corey, the damage dealers of MeetYourMakers, to deal with one of the tanks. Now that a tank is down, MeetYourMakers say, we don't care who's next. We've got 3 of our carries available, and we'll systematically take you out. Corey just doing so much work with that Aura. You see the Orb of Deception taking away 50% of Vardex's HP.
Yeah, and it really required the hero mode from Vardex. You saw him flash there at the end to pick off Mr. Riles to just actually make sure that was an even fight. So really, when you think about it, it was Unicorns of Love that just barely came even in that case. MYM still not very far behind. They're 1 tower down, they're 2 dragons down, but it's very even in gold, it's very even in kills. Literally even in kills. And they're no nearer to this win. It's 43 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and I think Horo has to be given sort of man of the match thus far. Every team fight for the last 20 minutes, it's Horo's Cataclysms that have split up the Unicorns of Love so exceptionally well and allowed MeetYourMakers to find the kills and to get the auto attacks down. And also Mr. Riles' positioning. You know, this is an AD carry that I've been waiting to step up this year because he did impress me last year. And in this game, I've never felt that he's at risk of being caught. I've never felt that Unicorns have been able to get to Mr. Riles in these team fights, partially because of MYM's support and partially because Mr. Riles is just being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and credit to Nisbet this time around, too. He had been very poorly positioned in a lot of the games prior to this one, but this time around, I feel like his ultimates have been significantly improved. He's been able to catch some key targets on them. Yes, he's still gone down a number of times, but they have been getting results for that.
That's definitely the case. You know, just like the tempo of the game, all of a sudden Unicorns are staying grouped up. Oh, they've caught Nisbet this time around.
The teleport, Nisbet, they're looking for him. Do they double down? They wander away from the Solar Flare, and there's another teleport coming in the rock. Nisbet is not going to go down. Here comes JWoww. Corey in the middle, caught between all the members of the Unicorns of Love, trying to Spirit Rush his way to safety. Power of Evil, though. Oh, so low. He goes down, courtesy of JWoww, who was nearly untouched. Here comes Horo for the second win. And they are looking for even more here. It is a 5v4 as Corey did not melt at the very end of that. Visit Shachi bailing out over to the Raptor camp. And MYM wandering in the direction of the Baron.
So many big questions for the Unicorns of Love to answer. Why do they continue trying to force these engages when they keep falling behind? They're not landing the abilities or the damage they need to. They try to engage on Nisbet. MeetYourMakers turn it around and find a kill. You're seeing just how much damage Corey plus Mr. Riles plus JWoww can put out. There's no Solar Flare. Oh, it's just become available. So MYM trying to bait the Baron. At the point we were saying a second ago, Unicorns, they're not pushing the sideways anymore. They're not trying to split push because they've lost so many team fights. Unicorns of Love just not on the same page.
Not indeed. That trademarked playing together has just not necessarily worked out so well for them this time. 30 seconds on the Dragon. That has been where we've seen a lot of uncontested plays, actually. So let's see how this fight happened.
So again, engaging on the support, throwing everything onto the very tanky Leona. Nisbet manages to get away, but it was partially due to Corey's position. He comes in from the back line, manages to pull the attention of Unicorns of Love. JWoww manages to connect with that Transcendent Blade. Again, it's just Unicorns, they split up. Every single time they're not grouped as 5, they're losing these fights. The skirmishes and the smaller numbers is more in favor of MYM. It's such a weird game, Pyro, because we're 46 minutes in. Very serious faces on both camps. Even gold, even kills as far as you can tell, even towers, but there's only 3 dragons. Neither team is playing around the objectives that is going to help you win the game, and they both actually feel a little bit lost.
Yeah, Rollins is going to be able to secure this one at least, and it seems like, yeah, neither team is really trying actively to do much of anything. MYM do secure that second dragon for themselves. Unicorns, especially for them, considering they had done so well yesterday, they had found some serious cohesion. This is just such a night and day switch up for them. You got to wonder what happened.
I have no idea, but what I do like is the last 2 minutes, MeetYourMakers trying to push down the middle lane. They got a little bit of damage on the inhibitor turret. More importantly, they got a massive amount of minions in the bottom lane, so MYM should just peel down and take the tower. The thing is, with an exposed inhibitor, you can feel the fear. Unicorns is making sure MYM don't go bottom because of the threat of the base race. If Unicorns were to go bottom, Corey's caught up by Kikis.
Yes, he has. He's going to Spirit Rush. They don't have enough follow-up damage. However, the Unicorns now getting jumped on. Here comes Horo. Corey zooming out of the dangerous zone. It looks like it's going to be Vardex going down, however, and the Unicorns, they might have got the zone in on MYM, but it is still a 5v4. Timely Zanya's Hourglass from Corey. Vizichachi, he's going down, or is he still trying to hop his way to safety? Power of Evil picking up Corey finally, and they do answer with even more kills onto the Unicorns. Power gets out. Everyone else evaporates, and MYM on the cusp of this inhibitor. The death timers are so long now.
This is the cusp of the game, Pyro, with the minion wave in the bottom, 2 exposed inhibitors. MeetYourMakers flanked the Unicorns of Love in the middle lane. They are going to pull a massive upset and break their losing streak. With 2 inhibitors available, they may not even go for it. This is 40-second death timers. Pyro, MeetYourMakers are pushing in for the win.
They absolutely are, Quickshot. They have got a whole hell of a lot of minions here. Power of Evil is just trying to be the hero, but it's too late. He's going down. Look at those death timers, 48.5 minutes. MeetYourMakers, they snap the losing streak, and they take down the Unicorns of Love.
Absolutely everybody's at a loss for words.
I think they're as surprised as we are.
Shell-shocked faces on the Unicorns of Love.
That is really all you can say there, and you know, MeetYourMakers, they get up, wandering over in the direction of the Unicorns, and I think they weren't even expecting that until about a moment ago.
Unicorns of Love consistently caught out, consistently punished. Almost every play they made aggressively in the last 30 minutes was countered by MeetYourMakers in one way or another. And that final push, MYM had multiple options. Push bottom tower, push middle tower, flank Unicorns. They opted to go for the flank, and it single-handedly won them the game.
Yeah, worked out well for them. You know, looking at this Unicorn squad, this is the team that was able to just come up massive against SK Gaming just yesterday. And after a performance like that, consistently inconsistent is the word. But look at that smile on Yamato Cannon. He is happy that they found a group back into this one.
Oh, that's
they're still alive. You know, every game's a must-win, but that's a start.
Kikis looks destroyed. I think there's a lot to talk about from that game. But Pyra, you know, we come up with these catchphrases for teams and these regularly occurring terms. And yes, Unicorns yesterday, the saviors, the magical, my game-winning moment was the real deal. Today, they're not the real deal. Today, they flounder. I do want to quote Leviathan again. I think maybe underestimating MYM. Maybe. Because of how aggressive they were and how they were not today.
I agree. They played very, very differently and didn't try to make the moves. Remember, we talked about they had the standard lanes. They did okay, but then they just didn't really do much beyond securing a couple of objectives.
Yeah, and one thing that also stands out for this particular game, for MeetYourMakers, you know, Horo's Cataclysms, Corey's positioning, JWoww's engages.
In the jungle especially.
The 3 of them would come in, and even though they would do like individual plays, around those team fights, around those lanes, like you mentioned, in the jungle, in the middle lane, etc., it was one good Cataclysm that allowed Corey to flank. It was one good Zanya's Hourglass from Corey that bought enough time for JWoww to get in and kill Power of Evil. So these individual step-ups allowed them to pick up a win. Yesterday, Deficio said, MYM should pick a team comp they can snowball with, a team comp that they can play sort of a little bit solo queue, a little bit YOLO queue maybe. And this was a team comp that could fit that style. Didn't go exactly that way, but it worked out in the end.
Yeah. Well, also, like Leviathan says, a win is a win. After this game, though, I want to give definitely big credit to Horo. I also want to give credit to Nisbeth for making some serious plays where they counted, and when he got focused, MYM were able to jump back on. That was just the weirdest thing about the Unicorns engages. Not only did they consistently try to take fights after they'd been losing them, they focused on one of the tankiest members on the team over and over and over again for no other reason than he was the one they caught.
Yeah, and that's also a testament to Mr. Rawls. He was never in a threatening position. In a position to be threatened. Thank you, yes. In a position to be threatened. That's the term I'm looking for.
He had a very good score this
Mr. Rawls, 7-2-7. He had the most damage dealt to champions across the board. And I just think his positioning helped. Yes, his positioning helped because his team was aggressive, so there was a lot of threats to get through. But just a lot of very small things that went MYM's favor. They farmed well. They picked the engages that worked for them. They punished the engages that didn't work for Unicorns of Love. And I mean, that is one of, if not the biggest upset we've had of the spring split so far.
Yeah. Well, we've seen them beat just about anybody, but we've also seen them lose to just about anybody here. So it's going to be a while before we figure those Unicorns out. But for now, for a closer look at that game, we're going to shoot it back to Shux at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Pyrotechnics. We're here with MYM's JWoww after that much-needed win. Much needed is an understatement, and I got to say you yourself stepped up as well in this one. First off, tell me about the way you guys stepped into the game, because I can imagine that the spirits are not super high after the games you guys have had.
Yeah, pretty much. Like everyone, since we lost so many games, we're not thinking about winning that much anymore. It's more individually. Like to prepare yourself for the future, or like not to we still have a chance. Like the dream is still there, but we're just mentally for yourself to play your best. Pick you can play whatever you want. You can just go for what you want, and that's pretty much it.
So how's it been for you? I mean, you joined the team. You used to play on Gamers 2, and now you're in the LCS, but for MYM, who already lost so many games when you joined, I mean, how has it been for you coming onto this team and onto the LCS stage?
I knew they had a lot of troubles in the team, and of course, it's manageable to fix it. And, well, I'm just enjoying it by far a lot. So it's more as an experience for myself to play in the LCS for the first time, which I got the opportunity to do. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Tell me how you channeled that into this game, because you actually killed Vizicachi one-on-one in that Aurelia Gnar matchup, and a lot was in your hands to be able to control the team fights.
Do you mean, I killed him one-on-one? The matchup is way stronger for Aurelia, in my opinion. So that made me be safer in the game. I can farm up, I can get to that point where Aurelia is kind of strong. So in team fights, I was just going to be tanky, go for their carries, try to lock them down with the other front line that we had. So that was the...
You said that you were trying to be individually and have fun and pick your favorite champions. Did you notice a shift in the team atmosphere and the way you were talking to each other when you realized that you were actually winning that game?
Yeah, when we've been losing, of course, the atmosphere in the games are kind of dark. It's not much talking. There's no calls, it's a bit slow, but when we actually win more, then it's actually way better. Everyone starts communication way better, and it just flows way better.
And how did you even see this game here? I know you had a good performance on Aurelia. We talked about the matchup. The game itself, I mean, it looked like two teams who didn't really want to create anything until you guys realized you could really start winning these fights. How did you see the game, and what went wrong for Unicorns, seeing as you guys could then suddenly take the upper hand and beat them?
I think we had a better late game, so I think that's what we strived for. So we were just farming up. We maybe wasn't that confident to just engage on them, so we played it safely. We let them the first drakes, because we wanted to farm, just not get caught, and So we just waited for a point in the game when we felt strong, and when we can actually do stuff with TP, flanking them, and just hard engaging them. Pretty much.
And it worked?
Yeah, keeping a level head. And you guys are on the board, so congratulations, JWoww.
Thank
you very much. With just 3 weeks left in the spring split, let's update the standings. Tied in first place just in time for next Thursday's El Clasico is Fnatic and SK Gaming. A game behind them in third is H2K, with Gambit rounding out the top 4 after a 7-game win streak. Toward the bottom of the tables, MeetYourMakers keep their hope alive as they look to catch Roccat and Giants to avoid automatic relegation. And, well, they did get a win on the board here.
They did, so great for MeetYourMakers. Next week they're playing Giants. If they win that one, suddenly you have a battle going on here for who's going to avoid the automatic relegation. So great for MeetYourMakers, not so good for Unicorns of Love, because they're still obviously looking at this top 6. They want to get into the playoffs, and yet you have to worry about Elements. They are still having some problems, but we have to see what they can do next week, because I think it's going to be between them and Unicorns of who's going to get into playoffs and who's going to sit as number 7 and obviously avoid relegation but not really go anywhere.
Wow, very interesting observation there. Focusing on today's action, one player carried harder than the rest with 12 kills, 8 assists, and 2 triple kills, racking up over 44 points. Today's fantasy leader is H2K's Yarnan. on that jinx, making it happen today.
Yeah, if you have a Yanin, I guess you're very happy. If you're an H2K fan, you should also be happy because they're playing really well. And him and Kasing together has looked like one of the best dual lanes we had. Not just in pure 2-on-2 laning, but also just because they're so good at knowing where to be on the map. Like Yanin is always the guy fast pushing the lanes, taking the towers. And Kasing is the guy roaming around creating kills for the rest of his team. So they look really good together. And just Kasing coming in, becoming his new support has made Yanin also really step up his game.
Raymond pulling his weight. Looking at week 6 as a whole, a lot of players stepped up, but there were only 5 that we have deemed as OP. The first person that we are looking at is a Fnatic player, Yellow Star. He's not been in here for a couple of weeks, but definitely stepping up here once again. 86 kill participation in this one, and 2 deaths in 2 games.
I'm playing Alistar in both the games. So good at knowing when to go in and zone away from, or zone the enemy team away from his carries, and also just engaging. We also know he's the main shot caller from Fnatic, so whenever they're doing well, playing around the map, it's most likely Yellowstar making the calls.
So it's Yellowstar making the calls, and someone who listens to those calls is Febiven, the mid laner, of course, for Fnatic as our second OP player. Actually, he will come in a bit because I messed up. What a spoiler. Ryu first from H2K. Definitely stepping up. Just as we said that it might not be his playstyle to carry. What a performance on Kassadin for him.
Oh, look great on Kassadin. You can see how everyone else from H2K were just making sure he was the guy getting fed. Lolix skanked for him a few times. And yeah, okay. Febiven is going to come next as a guy. He was the former H2K mid laner. And now, of course, Ryu is the guy playing in there and starting to really step it up. We see more and more from Ryu every week.
Yeah, and guess who's next as OP?
Could it be?
No, it's Febiven.
Oh, right, okay.
Anyway, yeah, Febiven, as I said, also one of the few players to make that double AD work and make that Ezreal in the mid lane work, and he's just having fun with it.
He really used that mid-game spike he talked about, Trinity Force Man Immune, to his advantage, and Fnatic and Febiven just look so solid every single week when they play together, and he could have been here nearly every week, because he's just so good in this mid lane. We've seen him carry games beforehand, and in this one, same deal.
Yep. Next up is someone as well from the H2K lineup. We have to mention odoamne, showing just the diversity on so many champions. What a god you're going to call him. Is it a beautiful man too?
He's also a beautiful man for sure, but now you're just forcing me to say it, and then it doesn't really count.
If
anyway,
the shoe fits.
odoamne can play literally every style in that top lane. He can be the tank, he can be the carry. His Maokai today, locking down Kennen and everything, and just always setting up kills for his team was so good. And I think odoamne, as some of the coaches said, definitely a top 2 top laner in Europe.
Top 2 is our next OP in that top 2 as well. Cabochard, we talked about him beforehand. You highlighted him with his Morgana play. Very impressive, and just playing that many champions and making plays for the team.
Yeah, Cabochard, fantastic laner, and we see Gambit play around it. Always make sure he gets going early on, because yeah, in team fights and of course in the laning phase, great mechanics. He knows how to carry a game for his team, and Gambit looks great together with Cabochard.
Yeah, to send odoamne and Cabochard mid, like 1 versus 1. And see
that would be pretty sick.
That would be impressive. Well, of our OP5, one player really put on an amazing show, leading their team to the victory over the last 2 days. Our Week 6 MVP with 32 assists and 84% kill participation and a KDA of 7.6 in 2 games as Maokai. It is H2K's odoamne. We were already singing his praises, absolutely deserving it. Not on Gnar this time, still the same performance.
84% kill participation as a top laner, that is insane. He's part of nearly everything H2K does. He's also one of the players making a lot of calls in the team fights. And when you have that kind of top laner who can play all these different styles, it makes the pick and ban phase so easy for you, because you don't have to worry about him being counterpicked or being banned out, because there's so many champs for him to pick from.
Yeah, H2K on their way up as a whole as well. There are only 3 weeks left before playoffs, so every game matters. We'll be back here in Berlin next Thursday, week 7, as MeetYourMakers face Giants Gaming. The Copenhagen Wolves will go up against Elements, and we'll have our last El Clasico of the split between SK Gaming and Fnatic. And with the way the standings are shaping up, this match could tell us a lot about the spring playoffs, and it is full EU LCS here.
It is full EU LCS. That's hard to say, LCS. Full EU LCS. Everyone is beating each other. And also we get to see odoamne against Cabochard, because Unicorns will take on Gambit. Another one where they're fighting for, you know, the top 3.
Boom, we get our 1 versus
Boom.
maybe. Mark your calendars. That all starts next Thursday at 6 p.m. Central European time. That is 9 a.m. Pacific. Now, meanwhile, the North American LCS will pick up week 6 tomorrow in Los Angeles, where Team Coast will take on Cloud9. Team Solo Mid will go up against Dignitas, and the day will end with Counter Logic Gaming versus Winter Fox. Any particular thing you've got your eye on?
Oh, I really look forward to Team Liquid against Gravity. two of the teams who obviously know each other really well and have been picking up the pace. Also, Last Shadow, the coach for Gravity, is a good friend of mine, so I want to see what he can do with his team.
We will see indeed. That all kicks off tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central European Time. That is noon Pacific. That does it for us here in Europe. I would like to give a special thanks to all of the coaches that joined us on the desk this week to buff our analysis. They were all great. And from myself, the Fisho, and the European LCS crew, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you back here next week.
H2K looking red hot, man. 5-0.
Frederick in the front, Yarnik gets one, looking for Audrey the Rockets, he's gonna get two, looking for more, Rydell throws down the choppers, he should be able to secure the triple. Yarnik picks up another kill of his Pepinero, they just jump all over him, Whirlip going down, it's a double kill, and H2K, that's a W.
2K. Okay. 2K. Go. Kill them all! Kill them! Drop it. Nice.
GG comes in, Fnatic take the win.
Yeah, you know what it is.
You know what it is.
Nothing I do, like it, you know.
You guys did not know. Or whenever you're dead in a fight, you become the shot caller, you know, because you see more than we do. This is why you made me the shot caller, because I die a lot.
Yesterday.
Seems
so far away.
The Shockwave taking him down, but Kreplo's the one that gets the kill. Now, however, SK looking for revenge. Here we go, Deathmark is on, shook his pop, and a whole lot of shots fired after the fact. Freddy, though, is not keen to let this one go. Froggen, he's the target. SK Gaming, I guess they got the swagger back. Oh my goodness, he's gonna throw down the Zanyas at the last minute. They may have distracted Kabashard, though, is gonna pick up the kill. Gambit Gaming have come up with another win. Kickus, he's gonna void rush in. He is 1v3, however. The Unicorns aren't quite here just yet. Mizuchachi, he's going down, or is he still trying to hop his way to safety? Power of Evil picking up Corey finally. MeetYourMakers, they snap the losing streak and they take down the Unicorns of Love.